I'm going to be going through what shadow work is and how you can deal with your hidden traumas, your hidden fears, and all of the negative stuff that you have bottled up inside. A brief explanation of what shadow work is: a type of psychotherapy that focuses on the parts of the psyche that people tend to keep hidden, such as trauma and resentment. What this means is that when you are dealing with your shadow, you are dealing with all of the negative aspects of yourself that you keep hidden inside of you. There's actually 3 parts of you. So one of the first parts you have is the self. So what the self is basically you. It is just the person that you are. It's your personality, your habits, the passions that you have, your moral, the things that you want to conquer in life. All of these things are considered the parts of yourself. The shadow is ultimately the opposite. Shadows are your negative thoughts. The shadows are your intrusive thoughts. The shadows are your hidden fears, all of the trauma that you dealt with, and all of your inner dialogue that is negative. That's your shadow. The third type of person that you have is your persona. Your persona is basically, it's another version of you that you are just presenting to the world, and it's essentially just a mask. You're just showing this version of yourself to the world because you know that that's what people will like, and you try to amplify the good parts of yourself while repressing the negative parts about yourself, which is repressing your shadow. The importance of shadow work is that you are actually confronting your fears and you are confronting all of these negative aspects about yourself rather than just repressing it like everybody else. Because the longer that you ignore your shadow, the more it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. You keep repressing it and it's going to still loom over you no matter what. You can literally say, I'm healed, I'm great, everything's good, life is going great for me. Like, I have a good job, I have all of these friends, and it's all thanks to my hard work and dedication. And hi, Millie. And I've gotten this far because that you got it all together. But the truth is that you don't really have it all together. I've seen so many people that believe that just because they finish school, that they have a good degree, that they have a good job, and they're doing all right in their work field, and they are eating healthy, and they are going to the gym often, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have already dealt with all of their inner conflicts, because at the end of the day, when they're by themselves, when they're alone, they're still going to be having those negative thoughts, and they're still going to be dealing with all of that negativity. So that's why the importance is you have to be dealing with your shadows face to face. You have to be willing to deal with basically your inner demons. If you don't confront your inner shadow, it's going to manifest itself in a lot of negative ways that you won't even expect because you think you got it all together, but you actually don't. It can manifest itself through self-sabotage. I've seen so many people that have actually sabotaged their life simply because they don't have any ounce of love for themselves. So they'll be doing good financially, they will be doing good with relationships wise, but they aren't having a good relationship within themselves. That's because they haven't actually dealt with their shadow. So they still have all of those hidden traumas. They have all of that stuff hidden inside. They end up quitting their job. They end up trying to find ways to ruin relationships. It's all because they don't actually believe that they deserve these things, because they haven't actually confronted things that are wrong with them, because they still internally believe that they are not good people. When you are dealing with shadow work, you want to learn to face the parts of yourself that you continuously hide and the hidden traumas that are manifesting deep inside of you. You want to ask yourself, what are the things that I think that I could improve on? What are some things that I'm not over? What are some things that I still hold resentment to? You want to ask yourself all of these questions first and try to get a general idea before you even dive into shadow work, so that you know what you're dealing with, you know what the issue is, rather than feeling overwhelmed about having to fix yourself when you don't even know what the problem is. When you deal with your shadow and when you actually confront these fears and you actually confront this trauma that you have inside of you, you're building yourself, you're improving yourself throughout your self-growth journey. I know a lot of people, they want to improve themselves and they want to become the best versions of themselves. They want to love themselves, but without actually confronting the things that are wrong with you and without actually confronting the things that have made a negative impact on you, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to be able to improve. It's not going to happen because you're so afraid of actually dealing with the inner conflicts of yourself. So you're just going to remain feeling that way. So you need to first pull up the courage to actually tell yourself, like, okay, like, I did this wrong, or these people did this wrong, and rather than just being a victim and rather than just viewing it as the world owes me something because I went through all of this stuff, it happened, this happened to me, and this is the result of it, so how can I confront it? How can I fix it? That is essentially what you want to do when you're first starting out. However, when you do this, you're essentially improving yourself. You're building better relationships. It's going to give you more clarity about yourself. It's going to give you a more clear idea of maybe some goals in life that you thought you never wanted to do, but then it turns out that that was actually something that you did want to do. It'll make you discover parts of yourself that you didn't even know about yourself. Like, you're going to discover so many different things about you that you didn't even know. And eventually it'll start to mold itself into being like, okay, let me go on this journey instead, because because maybe I wanted to be a lawyer, right? I was on this career path of becoming a lawyer, but instead of doing that, now I want to actually put myself on a path of becoming a musician, because my true passion lies in music. Your internal self is actually telling you, I want to do this instead. And it's making me sad that I'm doing something that I don't like to do. So you're going to be discovering different parts of yourself, and you're going to essentially have this other side of you like kind of talking to you and being like, I want to do this instead, and this is what makes me happy, and this is what gets me going, and this is what gets me up in the day. Like this, it's going to help you discover yourself in ways that you never thought you could. So there are several different methods of how you can actually practice shadow work, and it's actually fairly simple. When you're going through shadow work, I mean, the most obvious one would have to be therapy. So if you have a therapist, you can go to them, kind of just ask about what shadow work is and what they know about it. It's generally like a spiritual type of practice. Me personally, I just feel like it's more of like something that has to do with the self and self-transformation. And, you know, that's just me. I mean, there's a lot of different interpretations as to what shadow work is. A lot of people think shadow work is evil and it's the devil. I necessarily don't think that. I feel like it's just a name for something to basically describe self-transformation, self-journey, whatever you want to call it. There is a type of therapy, I believe it's EMDR therapy, so I'm probably wrong about that, but I'll just like put it over here and edit. What this therapy does is that it's actually a really strong form of therapy that they take an object and they move the object back and forth, back and forth. And what it's doing is it's moving your eyes back and forth, back and forth. It's essentially activating like the REM state. You know how you go to REM state when you're sleeping? It's essentially doing that while you're awake, because your eyes dart back and forth and move back and forth rapidly when you're sleeping. When you're dreaming, you're entering that state while being awake. They'll do is they're going to just like hypnotize you, if you want to call it. You're going to be explaining the different types of events throughout therapy. Like they'll ask you like what happened on the day of a car crash or anything traumatic that's happened to you in your life. You're going to go over it as they are moving this thing back and forth, back and forth. And what it does is it activates your brain to actually visualize the event and sort of relive it. It comes with its pros and it also comes with its cons. I've heard that it can be very intense. A lot of people can get really bad panic attacks and they can start crying. Some people have been shaking like uncontrollably afterwards because the event was so traumatic to them. So you might want to discuss this with your therapist first and just see if it's a good fit. And also, if you feel like you are ready for something like that, then definitely look into it, because I heard it's probably the most effective form of therapy when dealing with trauma, which is essentially a form of shadow work in itself, if you ask me. When you are doing shadow work, you also want to build a really big sense of self-awareness. Being aware of your mind and being aware of your thoughts at all times is key. What this means is that you have to be aware at all times what you're thinking from the moment you wake up to when you go to bed. You have to constantly be vigilant of the thoughts that you're having, and how you can train your brain to think differently, train your brain to stop having those abrupt thoughts. What I do is I listen to podcasts every single day about motivating things, motivational speeches. I'm currently going through a phase in my life where I'm just trying to discover what I want to do. And what I want to do is, a lot of people think it's impossible. So I'm trying to build myself into having a more confident state and believing that I can do this and manifesting this life for me. So I play podcasts every single morning, just playing, and if you just hear the same thing over and over, it's gonna reprogram your brain into thinking a lot differently. Because let me tell you, the first week I was listening to motivational podcasts, I was like impacted. I was like ready to go. I was like, wow, like these people are so motivating. But it's very easy to get sidetracked. Over time, you're just like over it and you're just like not listening to it anymore and you don't care. So what you want to do is eliminate distractions. Any type of like depressing music that you normally listen to when you're in a bad mood, you want to tune it out with motivational podcasts. You want to tune it out with podcasts about your passions, about your interests, about, I'd say podcasts, but there's also things out there like subliminals, repeated affirmations over and over. You will manifest money, that you will manifest a better life, that you will manifest all of these better things for yourself. Play those over and over and over and watch. Trust me, it's the easiest way to reprogram your brain into thinking something else. Another way to build self-awareness and to reprogram your brain to think differently is talking to yourself. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Talking to yourself is probably another reason why I've been able to get into the mindset that I am now. I've learned to actually deal with my emotions and actually be honest with myself about why I'm thinking the way I am. Instead of actually just sitting here and blaming everybody else for why I'm upset and why this and why that, I actually took responsibility and took accountability and said, okay, I'm feeling sad because this person did this to me. But what did I do wrong? What did I do to cause that reaction? And if I didn't do anything wrong, let me ask you this. What do you know about that person, whether it be a family member or a close friend? Think about the type of person that they are. Think about the type of past that they went through. Think about all of the interactions that they've went through, that they told you about, because some people are just very private about that stuff. Look at it from that perspective, because a lot of times people project their insecurities onto others. A lot of the times when you're dealing with negative people or dealing with negativity in general, it's because they're projecting their insecurities onto you and they want you to make you feel bad. It doesn't necessarily mean that what they're saying about you is true. So you really want to get this idea in your head that they are just simply projecting that onto you. Understand this, acknowledge this, and although it sucks and it hurts your feelings, you're gonna have to essentially say, yeah, it does hurt and this does hurt my feelings, but I'm going to do something about it and I'm going to move on. And even though these people are projecting their insecurities onto you, pay attention to the way that you project your insecurities onto them. Think about all of the negative things that you have said to somebody or all of the negative things that you thought about somebody. A lot of people just quickly, automatically have bad negative thoughts and judgments about other people, and it's because they have those insecurities about themselves. So I know a lot of people are quick to point out somebody and be like, oh, that person's outfit is ugly, or oh, that person's being way too loud, or oh, that person is just annoying. You want to pay attention to how many times you do that throughout the day, and if you don't do that, pay attention to all of the things that you are internally saying in general, just saying, oh my god, I have so many things to do, I don't know if I'm gonna get it done, I'm never gonna be able to do this is too much. All of this negative talk, pay attention to what you're saying and then counteract it with something positive. Another thing I didn't touch on is that shadow work deals a lot with childhood trauma. That's where everything starts. I mean, once you gain a conscious and once you start actually talking and once you start building thoughts and feelings and stuff when you're a kid, a lot of outside influences can influence you very easily because you're a kid and you're absorbing things a lot faster and absorbing things a lot heavier than an average person would. Their mind is just fresh, full of nothing in there until eventually things start to happen within themselves. So then they're just okay, this is good, this is bad. And sometimes these people don't even think that their trauma is actual trauma, and they just assume, oh, well, everyone's life had probably been that way. A lot of people have it worse, etc., etc. But then when you go to therapy or when you go talking to somebody else about your issues, a lot of people are shocked and a lot of people are oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you went through that. And you're just nah, that's normal. Everybody goes through that. No, it's not. That's not normal at all. When you gain those types of reactions out of people, even if it's considered normal, even if it's considered something that everybody goes through, it doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean that I should have to go through that. And it doesn't mean that I have to sit here and deal with the effects of that, because it made me feel horrible and it made me feel sad and it made me feel bad about myself. It made me feel insecure. I know a lot of people, they have judgmental parents, or a lot of people that have judgmental siblings or friends. A lot of those words affect you. Over time, you're going to think, okay, this person didn't like that I talked this way. I'm never going to talk that way ever again. This person hated this outfit, so I'm probably going to try to change my sense of style. I'm just letting other people dictate my life. I'm letting other people dictate me. That's not okay. So as a child, though, you're trying to listen to your mom, listen to your dad, you're listening to your parents because they want what's best for you. You're trying to train to do that when you're younger. So then as you get older, it's not until later that you realize, that's not right. I shouldn't have been told that. I shouldn't have been told this. Go back to your childhood trauma, confront your little self and say, hey, I know that we went through this. I know that we've gone through a lot of hardships, but we're still here and we're still standing. We're gonna get through it. What happened to me at 5 years old wasn't fair. What happened to me at 12 years old wasn't fair. What's important is that we understand how we felt, why we felt that way, and how are we feeling now about it. Then you can work from there and just say, how can I change it? Another way to deal with shadow work is you want to meditate. Meditation, I know a lot of people are I can't do it. I can't concentrate, just complete silence. I need music, I need this, I need that. Meditation is so important. And the least that you can do, the minimum time that you can do meditation is 10 minutes a day. So that's what I'm starting out with right now. I recommend you do it first thing in the morning because I swear to God, the effects are amazing. When you do it first thing in the morning, already starting off the day with a clear head. I know a lot of people, they think, oh my God, but if I start first thing in the morning, I'm just gonna fall asleep. you have to build discipline. When you wake up, move around, walk around, take a drink of water, go to the bathroom, do something to like wake you up, and then just sit down. And you don't even have to close your eyes. You can just sit there and stare at the wall and just sit there in silence for 10 minutes. The effects are just, it's great. It's amazing. When you're meditating, you have to sit there in silence, but that doesn't mean that up here is going to be silent, because up here, I don't know if a lot of people have this or not, but a lot of things go in here, and I like talk a lot in my head, and I have a lot of things going on in my head. Kind of build awareness to it. I'm thinking this right now. I'm thinking about this right now. I'm thinking, oh my God, what do I have to do today? Like that'll be playing, but then something else will happen, and then another thing will be playing, and then I don't know if that's just my anxiety or what, but like I have multiple things playing in my head at once. But I still meditate anyway. I still sit there and I still try to realize that I'm thinking all of these things. I build the awareness of being like, okay, I'm drawing my attention to the top of my head, and then my shoulders, and then my stomach, and then just feeling the ground. Start simple. Train your mind to think elsewhere. At the same time, you want to take a mental note of like all of the things that you're thinking about. And then just keep it in mind. Just keep it in mind how rapid your mind is going. Then just reflect on it later through journaling, which is another way that you can do shadow work, which is probably the most popular, I think. Journaling is like the most well-known way to dealing with shadow work, because you're actually physically putting stuff on paper and you're physically putting it down, and it works. It helps a lot. So what I do is I keep a little journal. I keep this little notebook, and I actually bought it specifically for shadow work. Really cute. I got it at Target. You want to buy like a little personalized journal just for shadow work, and you want to like completely fill it with just shadow work prompts. Since it is kind of still the beginning of the year, I suggest like just filling out the entire book of just shadow work prompts. You want to spend 30 minutes to an hour every day, whether it be first thing in the morning or last thing at night. Shadow work prompts on Pinterest or on Google or on wherever. On TikTok, I know TikTok has a lot of shadow work prompts that you can do. They also kind of teach you the other ways to deal with shadow work. They go into a lot more spiritual stuff. I know like the spiritual side of TikTok, they probably have things about tarot card reading, the spiritual stuff, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just getting into the basics. I also have this little pen here. This pen I actually made when I was at the hospital. I was at a partial hospitalization program, and I have a video about it. So if you want to check it out, you can. And then another way that you want to do shadow work is you want to do it through creativity. You want to be creative when you're dealing with shadow work. Besides writing, I mean, there's so many other creative outlets. Art is so important, and I feel like everybody should have a creative outlet in their lives, whether you are an artistic person or not. I mean, art is all around us. I feel like it is the most important thing when it comes to being able to express ourselves and being able to heal ourselves, because art is a form of healing. I mean, there's a reason why they have art therapy. It's because art in itself is not only a form of expression, but it's a way of healing. So I am a huge advocate for people that are musicians, that are artists, that are painters, that are drawers, that are that are painters, that are authors. I mean, I consider myself an artist, and I love all forms of art. Whether you are somebody that considers yourself an artist or not, you can just draw a stick figure. I don't care, but dive into your creative side. I suggest, like, if you're not an artist, that you just make a little doodle like every day for like 30 days. I don't care if the doodle is a little flower, just something that represents you. Let your creativity just kind of come in. Just like use your imagination a little bit. My phone cut out, so yeah. But anyways, there are so many forms of shadow work that you can do. Find one that fits best for you and just try to implement it every single day. I don't care if it's for 30 minutes or 10 or 15. Every single day, try to implement one technique. And once again, build that self-awareness is so important. Self-awareness is key to healing. That was the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, please subscribe. I have so many other videos just like this, and I'm gonna put out so many more because I have so many ideas ruminating in my head, and I want to be able to share it with everyone else. Just remember, you are loved, you are special, you are great, you are talented, you are amazing. Don't let all these people decide whether or not you are good for you. You are good for you. You are sitting here looking up self-help videos and you clicked on mine, and I am honestly truly honored that you did. I want to be able to help people like me. I want to be able to help other people out there, and I want other people to embrace their creativity and embrace their creative side and really get their mind thinking and just go throughout their self-love journey, loving themselves and appreciating themselves and appreciating all of the art that we have around us. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye.